a future where stars were no longer distant dreams but doorsteps to new worlds, Earth had become something rare, a neutral ground. It did not seek to rule the galaxy. It did not build vast war fleets or claim alien systems. Instead, it offered peace, knowledge, and a quiet kind of strength that many found strange. Among the stars, humans were seen as soft, emotional, too gentle for the harsh realities of deep space. But those who truly knew Earth understood. Gentleness was not weakness. And sometimes, the calmest heart held the fiercest courage. On the orbiting interstellar Academy of Unity, high above the blue-green swirl of the planet Viridia, students from over 200 species trained side by side. They studied diplomacy, xenolinguistics, stellar navigation, and interspecies ethics. The halls buzzed with clicks, hums, chirps, and the soft rustle of scales, feathers, and synthetic skin. In this sea of alien life, one human girl moved with quiet confidence. Her name was Lily. She wore the standard gray academy uniform, her dark hair tied back, her eyes always watching, always thinking. Most assumed she was just another exchange student from a minor colony world. No one knew she was the daughter of Earth's planetary regent. She had insisted on anonymity. "I want to be seen for who I am," she had told her mother, "not for the title I carry." Lily's best friend was Zara, a tall, slender reptilian from the dry deserts of Kethos. Zara had emerald-green scales that shimmered under the Academy's soft lights, and a nervous habit of flicking her tongue when anxious. Despite her skittish nature, she was fiercely loyal and sharp-witted. The two had been inseparable since orientation week. When Lily had shared her protein bar with Zara, after the cafeteria ran out of Kethos-approved rations. "You're too kind for your own good," Zara had said then, her voice raspy but warm. "Maybe," Lily replied with a smile, "but kindness costs nothing." Now, in their third semester, they stood together in Xenobiology Lab 7, waiting for Professor Knoll's demonstration. The room was cool and sterile, lit by pale blue panels. In the center floated a containment sphere, humming with energy. Inside it, suspended in a shimmering stasis field, was the Void Stalker. The creature was unlike anything Lily had ever seen. It stood about 7 feet tall, its body sleek and obsidian black as if carved from night itself. Its limbs were long and jointed in ways that defied human anatomy, ending in curved claws that glinted like polished bone. Its face, if it could be called a face, had no mouth, only 2 deep, swirling pits where eyes should be, glowing faint violet. It did not breathe. It did not move. Yet everyone in the room felt its presence like a pressure against their skin. "This is Specimen V9, Professor Knoll announced, his 6 black eyes scanning the class. His voice was dry and precise, each word clicking like stone on stone, captured near the rim of the silent void. It eliminated 3 Federation survey teams before being subdued. It feeds on neural energy, fear, panic, strong emotion. It does not kill for meat, it kills for feeling." A murmur rippled through the students. A gelatinous blob from the aqua cluster rippled nervously. A bird-like avian from Sirius Prime fluffed its feathers and stepped back. "Today we observe containment protocols," Professor Knoll continued. "Note the harmonic dampeners embedded in the field. They disrupt its phase shift ability. Without them, it could pass through solid matter, walls, doors, even living tissue." Lily watched the stalker closely. It did not struggle. It did not rage. It simply waited. There was intelligence in those violet pits. Patience, sorrow even. "Why keep it here?" Zara whispered, her tongue flicking fast. "It's dangerous." "To understand it," Lily replied softly. "If we only lock away what scares us, we'll never learn." Before Zara could respond, the lights dimmed. A low groan echoed through the walls. Then silence. The hum of the stasis field stuttered. Sparks shot from the ceiling panels. Alarms blared. A deep, throbbing wail that sent students into panic. "Containment breach," Professor Knoll shouted, his limbs flaring in alarm. "Everyone, stay calm!" But calm was impossible. The stasis field collapsed with a sharp crack. The Void Stalker dropped to the floor and vanished. Screams filled the room. Students bolted for the exits. Some activated personal shields. Others fired stun pulses blindly into the air. Zara grabbed Lily's arm. "Come on, we have to go." Lily did not move. She stood rooted, eyes scanning the shadows. Then from the far corner the air rippled. The stalker reappeared. Not near the door, not near the panicked crowd, but directly in front of Lily. It loomed over her, its form shifting like smoke, its violet eyes locked onto hers. Zara froze, her breath catching. "Lily, don't move." But Lily did not look afraid. She looked curious. The stalker tilted its head. A low vibration filled the air. Not a growl, but something deeper, almost musical. It raised one clawed hand, not to strike but to hover near her chest as if sensing something within her. The room had gone utterly still. Even Professor Knoll stood motionless, his eyes wide with disbelief. Lily slowly reached into her pocket. She pulled out a small stone, smooth, black, veined with silver threads that caught the light. It had been given to her by her grandmother, who said it came from the deepest caves beneath Mount Shasta, where Earth's oldest memories slept. The moment the stone appeared, the stalker recoiled slightly. Then it leaned forward again, its violet eyes fixed on the object. It made a soft humming sound like wind through canyon walls. "This is from my world," Lily said, her voice calm, clear. "It holds the silence of mountains and the breath of ancient trees." "Maybe. You remember something like that too." The stalker did not attack. It did not vanish. Instead, it lowered its head just a fraction, a gesture, not of submission but of recognition. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, it dissolved into mist and slipped through the ventilation shaft above. Silence returned, heavy and stunned. Zara exhaled sharply. What just happened?" Professor Knoll approached slowly, his multiple eyes fixed on Lily. "How did you do that?" "No one has ever stood that close to a void stalker and lived." Lily slipped the stone back into her pocket. "I didn't try to fight it, I just let it see me." "See you?" Zara asked. "Yes," Lily said. "Not as prey, not as an enemy, just as someone who understands what it's like to be alone." Security teams flooded the lab minutes later. Scans showed the stalker had left the station entirely, slipping through the outer hull like a shadow through fog. The Federation issued an alert. Void Stalker V9 was loose, considered extremely dangerous. All ships were to report sightings immediately. But Lily knew the truth. It wasn't running. It was searching. That night, she sat alone on the Academy's observation deck, staring out at Viridia's twin moons. The stars stretched endlessly, cold and beautiful. She held the stone in her palm, its warmth a quiet comfort. "You knew it would come back, didn't you?" Zara's voice came from behind. Lily smiled faintly. It didn't attack because it wasn't hungry for fear. It was hungry for home. Zara sat beside her, her scales glinting in the moonlight. "You're not like other humans, Lily." "I'm exactly like them," Lily said. "We just forget sometimes. We think strength is about weapons and walls. But real strength is about listening, about offering your hand even when you're scared." 3 days passed without incident. The Academy returned to routine, though whispers followed Lily wherever she went. Some called her lucky. Others called her reckless. A few, like Zara, began to wonder if she was something more. Then on the 4th night, Lily felt it. A presence. Not threatening, but waiting. She walked to the empty cargo bay on sub-level 4, the place she'd chosen in secret. The lights were off. Only starlight filtered through the reinforced viewports. From the shadows, the Void Stalker emerged. It moved slowly, carefully. In its claw, it held something. A shard of black crystal veined with the same silver as her stone. It placed the shard at her feet, then knelt on one knee, its head bowed. Lily picked up the shard. It pulsed gently like a heartbeat. "You're offering a bond," she said. The stalker made a soft chime like distant bells. In that moment, Lily understood. The Void Stalkers were not mindless hunters. They were guardians of forgotten places, keepers of cosmic silence. They had been hunted, caged, misunderstood, just as humans once had been, and now one of them had chosen her. Word reached the High Council within hours. They summoned Lily to the central chamber, a vast dome where representatives from 100 worlds gathered. They demanded answers. They wanted the stalker captured, studied, neutralized. But Lily stood before them, small but unshaken. "You see a monster," she said, her voice carrying across the chamber. "I see a being who lost its home. Earth offers sanctuary, not as a prisoner but as a guest. And if you harm it, you harm the trust Earth has built across the stars." The council was silent. Then slowly, the elder from the Crystalline Collective nodded. "The human speaks with the voice of old worlds. We will not interfere." It was decided. Lily would become Earth's first ambassador to the unaligned species, those not part of the Federation, those who lived in the spaces between empires. It was a role no human had ever held, and it began with one quiet girl and one misunderstood predator. As she prepared to leave the academy, Zara hugged her tightly, Don't forget us, she whispered. I won't, Lily said. And I'll come back. With stories. On the landing pad, the Voidstalker's ship waited. A vessel grown, not built. Its surface alive with shifting patterns of starlight. Lily. Months passed. The silver tree in the mountain valley grew taller, its leaves shimmering with soft light that pulsed like a slow heartbeat. People came from all over Earth to sit beneath its branches. They did not speak much. They just listened, and in that silence something new began to grow. Not just in the soil, but in the hearts of those who visited. Fear of the unknown softened. Curiosity returned. Children drew pictures of Kale in school. Elders told stories of the quiet guardian who walked among the pines. Lily, once just a student in a gray uniform, now moved between worlds, not as a ruler but as a bridge. But the galaxy watched, and not all eyes were kind. Deep in the core systems, the High Council debated. Some members argued that Earth's alliance with a Voidstalker was dangerous. Others whispered that Lily had been corrupted, that the seed was a threat disguised as hope. Pressure built. Finally, the council sent an envoy, a human chosen carefully. Not one of the banned names, but someone new. Her name was Claire. Young, sharp, trained in diplomacy, but loyal to the Federation above all. Claire arrived on Earth with a small team and a simple request. Inspect the seed, verify its nature, and report back. If it posed no threat, the Council would recognize Earth's sanctuary. If it did, sanctions would follow. Trade halted, travel restricted, Earth would be isolated. Lily met Claire at the edge of the valley. No guards, no ceremony, just two humans standing in the morning mist. I've heard a lot about you, Claire said, her voice cool but not unkind. And I've heard about you, Lily replied. You believe in rules. Rules keep peace, Claire said. Sometimes, Lily said. But not always. She led Claire to the tree. Kale stood nearby, not hiding, not threatening. Claire stiffened at first, but did not reach for her sidearm. She watched as a child ran up to Kale, holding out a wildflower. Kale accepted it gently, placing it behind its ear-like crest. The child laughed and ran off. They're not afraid, Claire murmured. Why would they be? Lily asked. Kale has never harmed anyone here. Claire spent 3 days in the valley. She spoke with farmers, teachers, scientists. She sat under the tree and felt its calm. She even shared a meal with Kale, simple bread, fruit, and tea. Kale did not eat, but it held the cup in its claws, warming it with its own energy, a gesture of respect. On the 4th morning, Claire stood alone by the river. Lily joined her. You could lie, Claire said. Say the seed is harmless even if it's not. I could, Lily said. But I won't. The seed holds life, not weapons, not power over others. Just the chance to grow something beautiful. Claire looked at her. You really believe that? I know it, Lily said. Claire returned to the Federation with her report. She wrote clearly, honestly, the seed was not a weapon. Kyle was not a threat. Earth's actions were not reckless, but wise. The council was divided. Some accepted her findings. Others demanded proof. Real, scientific, measurable, so they sent a team. Not soldiers. Xenobotanists, energy analysts, cultural observers. They came with scanners, not guns. And for the first time, the Federation truly saw what Earth had done. They recorded the tree's energy signature. Harmonic, stable, healing. They watched how local wildlife gathered near it, healthier, calmer. They saw how people left the valley with lighter steps and clearer eyes. One old botanist wept when he touched the bark. It's like holding the memory of a world that never knew war, he said. The report went viral across the net. Not just in official channels, but in public feeds. Alien students who had once mocked humans for being soft now asked to visit Earth. Diplomats requested cultural exchanges. Even former enemies sent quiet messages of respect. But not everyone was pleased. In the Outer Rim, a warlord named Vorlag watched the news with burning eyes. He ruled a fleet of scavenger ships feeding on fear and chaos. He had heard of the seed's power, not as a lie, but as truth. And he wanted it, not to grow, to break, to drain its energy and fuel his war engines. He gathered his best raiders, ships blackened with soot and blood. They struck not with warning, but in the dead of night. Earth's early warning systems caught them too late. Vorlag's ships tore through the upper atmosphere, targeting the valley. Lily was asleep when the alarm sounded. She ran outside to see fire in the sky. Kale was already there, standing before the tree, arms spread. Its form glowed with violet light, a shield forming around the sapling. They will not take it? Kyle said, voice low and steady. Lily nodded. Then we stand together. But Earth had no weapons. No fighters. Only its people. And its people answered. From cities, towns, and villages they came. Not with guns, but with what they had. Musicians played frequencies that disrupted targeting systems. Engineers activated old defense grids, repurposed solar mirrors that blinded sensors. Farmers released drone swarms carrying pollen that clogged engine intakes. Children lit lanterns, hundreds of them floating into the sky, confusing thermal scans. It was not war. It was resistance through care. Vorlag's raiders landed, confused and angry. They expected a battle. They found a festival of light and sound. One raider, a young mercenary from a broken world, dropped his weapon when an old woman offered him bread. "You look hungry," she said. He wept. Vorlag himself stormed toward the tree, roaring. He raised a plasma cutter, ready to strike. Lily stepped in front of Kale. "Stop! Move, girl," he snarled, "or burn." "You think power is in destruction?" Lily said. "But real power is in what you choose to protect." Vorlag hesitated. Then from the tree a single leaf drifted down. It landed on his armor. Where it touched, the metal softened, the heat faded. His rage quieted. He looked at his hands. "Oh, what is this?" "A choice," Lily said. Vorlag dropped his weapon. He fell to his knees, not in defeat, but in awe. "My world is dust," he whispered. I forgot what green felt like. Kale approached, not as a victor, but as a fellow survivor. It placed a hand on Vorlag's shoulder. Light flowed, not to control, but to heal. By dawn, the raiders were gone, not as enemies, but as guests. Vorlag stayed. He helped rebuild what his ships had scorched. He planted seeds of his own, brought from the ashes of his homeworld. News of the night spread faster than any weapon ever could. The galaxy saw something it had never believed possible, a world that turned invaders into neighbors. Back at the academy, Zara watched the feeds with tears in her eyes. She applied for transfer to Earth's new interspecies school. She wanted to learn how to listen. On Earth, life went on. The tree grew. Kale walked its paths, no longer a stranger but a friend. Lily still wore simple clothes, still spoke softly, but now when she spoke, the galaxy listened. One evening, as stars blinked awake, Lily sat with Kale beneath the branches. "Do you think they'll ever understand?" she asked. Kale looked at her, violet eyes warm. "They are beginning to." And in that quiet moment, under a tree born of two worlds, hope took root. Not as a shout, but as a whisper. And sometimes whispers change everything. The ship moved through the dark like a whisper. It left no trail, made no sound, and bent light around itself like a shadow given form. Inside, Lily sat in the central chamber surrounded by walls that pulsed with soft blue veins. The Void Stalker, now called Kale by Lily after an old Earth word for keeper, stood near the navigation node, its long fingers brushing the living controls. They did not speak in words, not yet, but they understood each other in silence, in rhythm, in the quiet hum of shared purpose. Their first stop was not a planet, but a memory. Kale guided the ship to the edge of the silent void, a region of space where stars grew dim and signals faded. Here, among drifting ice and dead comets, floated the ruins of a world, not shattered by war but abandoned by time. Towers of black stone rose from a frozen sea, their surfaces carved with spirals that matched the veins in Lily's stone. "This was your home," Lily said softly, not as a question. Kale made a low, mournful tone. "Yes." They stepped onto the surface together. The air was thin, cold, but breathable, barely. Lily wore a light environmental suit, though Kale needed none. As they walked, the ground beneath them glowed faintly where Kale's feet touched it, as if the planet still remembered its child. In the heart of the ruins stood a great dome, cracked but intact. Inside, walls shimmered with stored light, images of Kyle's people. Tall, elegant beings of shadow and starlight, moving in harmony with the cosmos. They did not build cities to dominate nature. They wove their homes into it like roots into soil. They were peaceful, Lily said. Kale touched a wall. An image shifted. A fleet of sharp, angular ships descending from the sky. Weapons firing. Screams not of sound, but of light tearing through the air. The Federation. Not to learn. Not to trade. But to take? Lily's chest tightened. They thought you were dangerous because you were different. Kale turned to her, violet eyes deep with sorrow. Then slowly it placed a clawed hand over its chest, then pointed to Lily. "You see us?" Tears welled in Lily's eyes. "I see you." They stayed for 3 days. Lily recorded everything. The carvings, the energy patterns, the songs hidden in the wind. Kale showed her how to listen to the planet's pulse, how to read the stories in the ice. In return, Lily shared Earth's tales, of wolves that howled at the moon, of oceans that sang with whales, of forests that remembered every footstep. On the 4th morning, Kale led her to a hidden chamber beneath the dome. There, resting on a pedestal of crystal, was a seed. Not a plant seed, but something alive with potential. A core of condensed starlight wrapped in silver threads. "What is it?" Lily asked. Kale made a gesture to grow. To return, Lily understood. This was the last hope of Kale's people. A way to rebuild, to heal. But it needed a world that still knew how to nurture life, not exploit it. "Earth," Lily said. Kale nodded. Their journey back took weeks. Along the way, they passed through neutral zones and fringe systems. Rumors had spread. A human girl traveling with a void stalker. Some called her a traitor, others a prophet. Pirate ships shadowed them once, drawn by the strange energy signature of Kale's vessel. But when they saw Lily standing calmly on the hull, her hand resting on Kale's arm, they turned away. Fear could be broken by stillness. When they finally neared Earth's solar system, a Federation cruiser intercepted them. It was the Aegis, one of the largest peacekeeping ships, armed and stern. "Unidentified vessel," came the voice over comms. "Power down and prepare for boarding." Lily stepped to the communication node. "This is Ambassador Lily of Earth. I am returning with a guest under planetary sanctuary." "Stand down. Silence." "Then sanctuary is not granted to Void-class predators. Surrender the creature." Kale tensed, its form rippling with warning. "No," Lily said firmly. "Earth grants sanctuary, and Earth does not ask twice." She opened a channel to her mother, the Regent. The screen flickered to life. Her mother's face appeared, tired, proud, and worried. "Lily, are you safe?" "I am," Lily said. "And I bring something precious. Not a weapon. A promise." Her mother looked at Kale, then back at Lily. She nodded. "Then Earth stands with you." A moment later, Earth's defense grid activated. Not to attack, but to shield. Dozens of orbital platforms turned their focus toward the Aegis, not with weapons, but with broadcast signals. Every screen on the cruiser lit up with images. Earth's forests, oceans, children playing, elders sharing stories. The message was clear. This world chose life over fear. The Aegis powered down its weapons. "Permission granted to enter orbit," the captain said, his voice softer now. As Kale's ship descended through the clouds, Lily pointed out the landmarks. Mountains, rivers, cities that glowed like fireflies at night. Kale watched in awe. It had known only silence and loss. Now it saw color, sound, movement, joy. They landed in a hidden valley in the Pacific Northwest, where ancient trees stood like sentinels. Earth scientists and elders waited, not with scanners or restraints, but with open hands and quiet respect. Lily introduced Kale not as a specimen, but as a guest, as a teacher. Over the next weeks, Kale began to heal. It walked among the redwoods, learning their slow language. It sat by rivers, listening to the water's song, and each night it worked with Lily to prepare the seed. They chose a place deep in the mountains where no machines had touched the soil in centuries. Together, they dug a shallow basin. Lily placed the seed in the center. Kale knelt, placing its hands on the earth. A soft light spread from its fingers, sinking into the ground. For 3 days they stayed. On the 4th morning, a shoot emerged, thin, silver, glowing with inner light. Leaves unfurled, shaped like stars. The first tree of Kale's people in 1,000 years. Word spread across Earth. Not as news of danger, but of wonder. Children came to see the glowing sapling. Elders left offerings of water and song. Scientists recorded its growth not to dissect, but to understand. But peace never lasts long in the galaxy. One evening, as Lily sat beneath the new tree with Kale, a message arrived. Not from the Federation. From the Zenthari Hive, a brutal empire that thrived on conquest. They had learned of the seed. They wanted it, not to grow, to weaponize. "They believe your people's energy can power war engines," Lily said, reading the transmission. "They're coming." Kale stood, its form darkening. Fear rose, not for itself, but for this fragile new life, for the world that had shown it kindness. Lily placed a hand on its arm. "We won't let them take it." But Earth had no army, no warships, only its people. So Lily did what humans had always done best. She called a gathering. From every corner of the planet they came. Farmers, teachers, artists, engineers, elders, children. They brought not guns but tools, songs, stories, and shields made of woven light and sound. Devices built from old Earth wisdom and new alien knowledge. They formed a ring around the valley, not to fight but to protect. When the Xanthari ships arrived, jagged red screaming through the atmosphere, they expected resistance. They found something else. As their drop pods landed, they were met not with soldiers but with music, with light. With thousands of humans standing hand in hand, singing in one voice, the sound carried frequencies that disrupted Xanthari aggression implants. Their weapons flickered, their rage faded into confusion. The Xanthari commander stepped forward, armored and snarling. "Where is the seed?" Lily walked out alone. "It is not yours to take. You are weak," he growled. "You hide behind songs?" "No," Lily said. "We stand with them." Then Kale appeared behind her, not as a monster, but as a guardian. The new tree behind them pulsed with light, sending waves of calm through the air. The Xanthari hesitated. For the first time, they saw not prey, but purpose. They left without firing a shot. Afterward, as the sun rose over the mountains, Lily and Kale stood beneath the growing tree. Its branches now reached higher, its light stronger. "You changed them," Kyle hummed, using its first true words shaped from Earth's air. "No," Lily said. "We reminded them that there is another way." And in that moment, Earth's quiet strength became more than a promise. It became a path. For in the end, the galaxy would not be saved by force, but by those brave enough to plant a seed and stand beside it even in the storm. The whispers grew, not just on Earth but across the stars. Stories spread of a human girl who stood before monsters and offered tea instead of terror, of a black-skinned guardian who knelt not in defeat but in trust, of a silver tree that healed not with medicine, but with presence. What began as curiosity soon became a movement. Ships from forgotten systems, from neutral zones, from places the Federation had labeled unreachable, began to drift toward Earth's orbit. Not to invade. To ask. They came in broken hulls and patched-together vessels carrying beings with no home, no voice, no hope. Some were refugees from war-torn moons. Others were outcasts from rigid hive societies. A few were the last of their kind, like Kale once was. They did not demand. They waited. Silently. Respectfully. Earth's council met in emergency session. Some feared the influx. "We are not a shelter," one elder argued. "We cannot feed a galaxy." But Lily stood before them, calm as ever. "We are not feeding a galaxy. We are welcoming neighbors, and if we turn them away, we become no different from those who once feared us." Her mother, the regent, looked at her daughter, then at the faces on the screen, hollow-eyed, weary, yet still holding a spark. She nodded. "Open the gates." So Earth did something no world in the Federation had ever done. It declared the valley and its surrounding lands a sanctuary zone, open to all unaligned, displaced, or seeking peace. No questions asked. No oaths required. Only one rule: harm no one. The first to land was a family of moss-skinned weavers from the drowned world of Alara. They carried nothing but spools of living thread and songs of sunken cities. Earth gave them a hillside. They wove homes from light and lichen. Their children played with human kids, teaching them how to sing to rain. Next came the twin singers of Lyra 9, beings of pure sound who had lost their resonance in the noise of war. They settled near a quiet lake. At dawn, their voices rose like mist, calming storms and mending broken sleep. Then came others, crystal scholars, sky dancers with wings of smoke, memory keepers who stored history in scent. Each brought something unique. And Earth, in its quiet way, gave them space to breathe. Lily walked among them daily. She did not lead. She listened. She learned how to brew tea that soothed neural scars, how to braid hair with starlight thread, how to sit in silence with those who had no words left. Kale stood beside her always, no longer just a guardian of one tree, but a protector of the whole valley. It taught the newcomers how to read Earth's winds, how to sense danger not with scanners, but with stillness. In return, they shared their own ways of seeing. Slowly, a new language formed, not of words, but of gestures, tones, shared meals, and stargazing. But peace, even when grown with care, attracts thorns. Deep in Federation space, a faction called the Purity League watched with growing anger. They believed only stable species, those with fixed forms, clear hierarchies, and loyalty to the council, deserved rights. The valley to them was chaos, a breeding ground for anomalies. They called Lily a traitor, Kale a plague, and the sanctuary a mistake that must be corrected. They did not send warships, too public, too risky. Instead, they sent a whisper, a virus not of code but of thought. It arrived in the form of a gift. A small orb, delivered by a seemingly neutral traitor. It pulsed with soft light, beautiful and harmless. It was placed near the silver tree as an offering. At first, nothing happened. Then the tree's glow dimmed. Its leaves curled. The air in the valley grew heavy, not with fear, but with doubt. People began to argue. The Elleran weavers accused the Lyran singers of stealing harmony. The sky dancers claimed the memory keepers hoarded truth. Even Zara, now living in the valley and teaching xenobotany, snapped at a student over a simple mistake. Lily felt it too, a cold whisper in her mind. You are not enough. They do not truly trust you. You are just a human, weak, temporary. She nearly believed it. But then she saw Kale. It stood by the tree, trembling, not from pain but from grief. Its violet eyes were dull. It looked at Lily, and in that look she saw her own reflection, lost, small, afraid. That broke the spell. This is not us, Lily said aloud. She ran to the tree, ignoring the whispers. She placed her hands on its bark. Remember who we are, Kale joined her. Together they poured not energy, but memory, of the first meeting, of shared bread, of children laughing, of Vorlag's tears. The tree shuddered. Then deep in its core, a pulse. Light returned, stronger than before. The orb cracked open, releasing a thin black mist. It tried to flee, but the tree's roots reached out not to destroy but to absorb. The mist dissolved into silver threads woven into the bark. Even poison, given time and care, could become part of something new. The valley fell silent. Then, one by one, the residents emerged from their homes. They looked at each other, not with suspicion, but with shame. The Alaran elder bowed. We forgot. The Lyran singer hummed a note of apology. Zara hugged Lily tightly. I'm sorry, Lily smiled. We all stumble. What matters is we rise together. The truth of the orb's origin soon surfaced. Federation investigators, loyal to the old ways of transparency, traced it back to the Purity League. Outrage spread. Even council members who once doubted Earth now spoke in its defense. You tried to break them with fear, one ambassador said in open session, but they turned your weapon into a lesson. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. The League was disbanded, its leaders stripped of rank. And Earth's sanctuary was officially recognized, not as an exception but as a model. Inspired, other worlds began to open their own safe zones. Mars welcomed energy-based refugees. Titan housed dreamweavers. Even Viridia, where the Academy orbited, set aside a forest for those seeking quiet. But Lily knew the real work was just beginning. One evening, she stood with Kale on a high ridge watching the valley below. Lights glowed from 100 different kinds of homes. Music rose, some familiar, some strange, all blending into a single song. Do you think we've done enough? She asked. Kale looked at the stars. Enough is not the goal. Connection is, Lily nodded. Then she turned to face the ridge path. A small figure approached. A child no older than 6, human with wide eyes and muddy boots. In her hands she carried a seedling. Not from the silver tree. From her own garden. Can I plant it here? The girl asked shyly. Lily knelt. Of course. Every seed matters. The girl dug a small hole, placed the seedling inside, and patted the soil. Kale gently touched the tiny leaves, and for a moment they glowed faintly. As the girl ran off, Lily stood. This is how it grows, she said. Not with grand speeches. With small hands and brave hearts. Weeks later, the first off-world child was born in the valley, a hybrid of Alaran and human, with moss-soft skin and eyes that changed color with the sky. They named her Nova. At her naming ceremony, beings from 20 species stood in a circle, each offering a gift. A song, a thread, a drop of water, a breath of wind. Lily watched from the edge, Kyle beside her. She felt no pride, only peace. Earth had not conquered the galaxy. It had not built an empire. It had simply opened a door. And the universe, tired of war and walls, had walked through. In the years that followed, the valley became more than a refuge. It became a school, a place where young ones, human and alien alike, learned that strength was not in claws or cannons, but in the courage to say "I see you" to someone different. Lily never took a title. She remained Lily, teacher, friend, listener. And when new ships arrived, filled with the lost and the lonely, she was always there, on the landing field. Hand outstretched, smile quiet, eyes full of stars. For in the end, the galaxy did not need saving by force. It needed reminding. Through a single tree, a shared meal, a child's seed, that kindness offered without condition could grow into something no weapon could ever destroy. Years passed. The valley was no longer just a valley. It had grown into a living network of hills, forests, and clearings, where beings from across the galaxy built homes not of steel and glass, but of song, light, and shared memory. The silver tree stood at its heart, now tall and wide, its branches stretching like open arms. Beneath it, children played, some with scales, some with wings, some with skin like bark or eyes that glowed in the dark. They spoke a mix of tongues, but understood each other without words. They had learned early that kindness needed no translation. Lily was older now, her hair streaked with silver, her steps slower but no less sure. She still wore simple clothes, still walked barefoot when the ground was warm. She taught in the open-air school, not from a podium but sitting in a circle with her students. Her lessons were not about facts or formulas, but about listening. To the wind, to silence, to the stories others carried in their bones. Kyle had changed too. Its once sharp edges had softened. Its violet eyes held not just the memory of loss, but the warmth of belonging. It no longer stood apart as a guardian. It gardened. It cooked strange stews with Zara. It told bedtime stories to the youngest ones, its voice a low hum that made stars seem closer. But peace, even when deeply rooted, must face storms. One day, a signal came from deep space, not a distress call, not a threat, but a question. It was faint, broken, repeating the same phrase in 1,000 languages. Is there still a place for us? The message carried no coordinates, only a pattern, a spiral that matched the veins in the silver tree's leaves. Lily recognized it at once. It's them, she said, her voice quiet. The others, Kale stilled. Its form rippled with emotion. My kin. For years they had believed Kale was the last. But the message proved otherwise. Somewhere in the void, survivors of the Voidstalker race still drifted, hidden, afraid to hope. Earth's council gathered. Some urged caution. What if they are not like Kale? What if they are still hunters? Lily looked at them. Then we show them there is another way. She did not wait for permission. She prepared the ship, the same living vessel that had brought Kale to Earth. This time, she would not go alone. Kale stood beside her. Zara joined them, now a respected botanist who studied how alien plants could heal human wounds. And Nova, the first child of the valley, now 16, with moss-green skin and eyes that shifted from gold to blue with her mood, insisted on coming too. I speak the old songs, Nova said. Maybe they'll remember. So the four of them left Earth, not as warriors, but as messengers. Their journey took them beyond the edge of known space, into a region where stars were sparse and time felt thin. They followed the signal's echo, guided by the silver shard Lily still carried. After weeks of travel, they found it, a cluster of dark asteroids drifting in silence. And among them ships, not warships. Hollowed-out asteroids turned into homes patched with light and longing. As their vessel approached, figures emerged, tall, shadowy, their eyes glowing violet like Kale's. They did not attack. They watched. Kyle stepped onto the hull, visible to all. It raised its hands not in defense but in greeting. Then it sang, a low, resonant tone that carried the memory of their lost world. One of the figures stepped forward, older, scarred, its form flickering with age. It made a sound like wind through ruins. You live, and so do you, Kyle replied. The reunion was not joyful at first. It was heavy, filled with grief for all that was lost. But as Lily and the others shared food, stories, and images of the valley, something shifted. Hope, long buried, began to stir. They learned that these survivors had hidden for centuries, fearing every signal, every ship. They had forgotten how to trust. But seeing Kale, whole, calm, part of something new, broke their silence. You found a home, the elder said. We built one, Lily corrected gently, and there is room for you. Not all agreed at once. Some feared Earth was a trap. Others worried they would never fit. But Nova stepped forward. She held out a small plant, a cutting from the silver tree grown in a pot of earth and starlight. "This is from your world," she said. "It remembers you." The elder touched the leaves. Tears, dark, shimmering drops, fell from its eyes. "We thought we were forgotten." "Never," Lily said. The return journey was slower, filled with quiet talks and shared watches. The Voidstalkers learned human songs. Zara taught them how to brew calming tea. Nova showed their young ones how to braid vines into bracelets. When they neared Earth, Lily sent a message ahead, not to the council, to the valley. The response was immediate. Lights bloomed across the hills. Music rose. The Alaran weavers strung glowing threads between trees. The Lyran singers prepared a welcome chorus that could be heard in orbit. As the ships landed, the valley did not cheer. It opened its arms. The Voidstalkers stepped onto soil for the first time in generations. They knelt, touching the grass, the flowers, the roots of the great silver tree. Some wept. Others simply stood, breathing deeply as if tasting air for the first time. Earth did not give them a separate place. It wove them in. Their asteroid ships were anchored in the high meadows, transformed into observatories and libraries. Their elders taught the young how to read starlight. Their children played with Nova and the others, learning to climb trees and chase fireflies. Lily watched from a distance, leaning on a walking stick carved by Zara. Kale stood beside her. "It's working," she said. "Because you believed it could," Kale replied. But the greatest change came not in the valley, but beyond it. News of the Voidstalkers' return spread like wildfire. Worlds that had once feared them now saw something different. Not monsters, but mourners, survivors, neighbors. Other lost species began to reach out. Not just with signals, but with ships. Not in fear, but in hope. Earth became more than a sanctuary. It became a promise. One evening, as the twin moons of Viridia rose over the valley, Lily sat beneath the silver tree with Nova. The girl held a new seedling, this one grown from the Elder's asteroid mixed with Earth soil. "Where should I plant it?" Nova asked. Lily smiled. "Wherever it feels right." Nova walked to the edge of the clearing where the forest began. She dug a small hole, placed the seedling inside, and covered it gently. As she did, the first stars appeared overhead. Lily joined her. "You know," she said, "I used to think I had to change the galaxy. Now I know it changes itself, one heart at a time." Nova looked at her, eyes soft. "You started it." "No," Lily said. "I just didn't look away." Back in the valley, music played. Laughter rose. Kale hummed an old song while teaching a group of children how to listen to the wind. Zara watered a garden where flowers from 100 worlds bloomed together. And high above, in the quiet dark, more ships approached, not with weapons, but with seeds, songs, and open hands, for the galaxy had finally learned what Earth knew all along. That the strongest thing in the universe is not a weapon, not a wall, but the simple, steady act of saying, "You belong here." And in that truth, a new age began, not of conquest, but of connection. Not of fear, but of family. And at its heart stood a human girl, now grown, who once chose not to flinch. And in doing so, gave the stars a reason to shine a little brighter.